As long as people are not satisfied with the process will, it will in itself become, if you have lost free and fair, even yourself, you'll just agree that, okay, I tried, but I lost. But when you still have doubt that maybe there could have been some foul play, thereby you will still complain and even go to court. So the IEBC, they should know that they actually carry weight for this nation.
Right.
In case they go astray, the country can even burn. Yeah, so they should conduct the elections in a manner that will not bring any complaints. If everyone is satisfied, there will be no cases.
All right.
Yeah.
Simon, I'd love to bring in a different perspective on the IEBC, and that is on young voters. In 2022, between the ages of 18 to 34 years, the voter turnout was about 39.84%. And this, equates to, just looking at the bigger picture, of 75% of Kenya's population being young people. But there was a huge voter apathy as well come 2022. And so the IEBC is set to roll out this new voter registration on September 29th. And one of the key people they want to go for is young people. And so how can they convince young people to come out and register as voters, putting in mind that that particular voter's card could be a game changer come 2027? How do they get young people?
I think a lot of reviews need to be done to the IEBC Commission. Like for my case, the powers that are vested into the chair of the commission are too much. Last time they let former IEBC commissioner Chebukati, he said, I am the returning officer, I am the presidential returning officer, and so my decision is final. So he got into a room, did his tallying. Out of 7 people he got one out of 7. One person out of 7 people comes out and declares a president. And that is final. Because according to him, he is the presidential returning officer. And then you ask yourself, how about the other 6? Who are they? They are returning officers to which constituencies or to who? So they need to start from there. First of all, review those kind of laws.
Yeah.
So that we now know that the 7 commissioners are all accountable to us as Kenyans. Start from there. And then during the civic education, they also need to focus on registering more youth, not only by bringing these road shows and asking the youth to dance on the road shows here and there, or ABC. They need to fight. The ABC need to be innovative, find ways on how they can relate with the young people to come out and register as more voters. And I think and this is coming at a very difficult moment when most of the young people are saying we are partyless, and now most of the political parties want to come out to rally the young people to come and register as voters. Already we are duped by the political class as a young people. So the IEBC need to be independent, be innovative, come up with innovative ways on how they're going to at least convince the young people to register as more voters by first proving to them that, look, we're going to be accountable.
Right, and perhaps just weighing in on that, we had an IEBC Bill 2024, which was assented into law on the quorum that you're talking about, where the quorum and decision-making process within commission were altered, which required just not a simple majority of members present to a majority of all members present. So that was reviewed and sorts out that problem of who's the chairperson, who's the vice, what is quorum, where just all majority of members have to make a decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they have job specification. The IEBC then need to come out, because how many young people knows that?
Okay. All right, Walter.
I would have a departure on what Simon is saying. IEBC does not need to convince young people to register. Young people need to understand that it's a right and a civic duty to participate in processes that determine your future in a country. And therefore, you do not need someone to convince you to undertake your right, to undertake a civic duty. And so I want to encourage the young people from that perspective, Simon, that it's a civic duty for you to register when you become of age to participate in civic activities in the country for the betterment of of the country. Having said that, I want to believe IBC, in my opinion, has just to ensure that they have the right budget, they have the right strategy.
They have a 67 billion shillings
budget.
Yeah.
I'm sure this country is rich enough. We are building churches at a budget of $1 billion. So I think the president can easily allocate that 67 billion tomorrow. So they need to be given capacity. They need to, as my colleagues Victor and Simon says, it's important this is a public institution, and therefore it's not a private affair. So every activity you're undertaking, how are we involving the stakeholders? How are we walking everybody through that whatever we are preparing, everybody is aware? So their communication needs to be very strategic and very open,
right.
And people can access information because it's also a right to information and by law. So how they show us their strategy, how they engage us as stakeholders, what can they tell us about the lessons from the past that that are glaring, and above everything else, give us confidence that they're within the rule of law and independence. If my memory serves me right, Simon, I've never seen IBC or any IBC in office apprehending a person who has broken their laws, particularly when we talk about early campaigns. I've never seen them give sanctions. I've never seen them nullify, except nullifying our nomination as presidential candidate over political agenda.
Right.
I've never seen them act on a matter that is of public interest. So they need to be able to show us that they are an independent body and has the powers and the capacity to even tell the president, I'm sorry, you're wrong. But as of now, they have a long way to go.
All right.
But I have a different opinion.
Yeah.
You're saying you want to convince the young people that you have the right to vote, but does your vote count? How many times have we voted and our vote are not counting?
Simon, that's
Because
a different conversation.
it is the same conversation we are having because it falls under the IBC. Why are we voting as young people and our votes are not counting? Because, for example, in the last election, you say you are waiting to see, you are eagerly waiting to see a moment when Kenyans will vote and walk home happily that we have voted the presidential election. We did it last election. People voted and there was no chaos anywhere. The chaos that erupted were the people that we voted in started fighting among themselves over conflict of the interest. People voted peacefully. And actually the IBC that is coming in place at a moment that Kenyans, we had a very peaceful democratic process in the last election.
Cynthia,
Right.
can I give Simon confidence?
Though we disputed,
Right.
but there was no chaos anywhere.
Simon,
Okay.
can I give
Why
you
do you hold a
confidence?
different view?
Yeah.
Right.
No, I don't hold a different view. We are having a conversation about the same thing.
Yeah.
But I just want to give my younger brother Simon confidence. He says that in 2022 they voted and we voted and we were happy, okay, with the voting. However, the announcement and everything else was in shambles, and it's evident. The confidence I want to give Simon is we had 22 million voters registered. Out of that 15 million, only about slightly above 14 million voted. That means 8 million of registered voters did not vote. There are many reasons why they didn't. Now, progress it to a future tomorrow, because we cannot spend a lot of time in the past.
Yeah.
I want to believe, Simon,
Yeah.
if Kenyans who registers, if any Kenyan has registered as a voter, and on that day, regardless of your emotions, regardless of what you think of the past and everything else, you walked to a polling station and you voted. And we have 30 million votes in the basket. It doesn't matter what crookedness anyone has. When the numbers are high, boss, even if you wanted to rig, anyway, You must have certain, I don't want to use those words that we use on men,
Yeah.
but you must have guts
Right.
to steal
Okay.
the will of 30 million people.
Right.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay,
Sankara.
Cynthia, I think the IBC should be on the forefront to give the Kenyans confidence that whatever they are on to, it will be free and fair, no matter the turnout. Even if it were just 10 people to show up at the polling station, their votes should count. We should not that we wait for the votes to get to 100 before they start counting. Even those 2 votes, even a single vote, because this is the voice of Kenyans. This is the voice of the people. So that single vote should actually count. Whatever way it goes, even if he wants to vote for a fringe candidate like the likes of Wajakoya or whoever, even Jirongo is threatening to, or Salasia, whoever will be on the ballot, if a Kenyan has gone to the ballot box and ticked against their name, let that vote count. So the IEBC, I still maintain that the IEBC has the sole responsibility, because they've been mandated by the Constitution of Kenya to conduct these elections in a free and fair manner. Anything else is just political noise, and IEBC should rise above the political noise and actually do this for Kenyans. They should know that it's their patriotic duty to have a free and fair elections for Kenyans. Right. If they fail, then it will be just on them. We will not blame anyone else.
Right, and let me speak on just the budgeting as well, because, you know,
Yes.
this is one of the institutions in Kenya that, you know, receives a lot of money from the National Treasury. And just looking at some of the numbers, just within these by-elections that are going to be conducted, they're expected to spend about 788 million shillings. Now, Kenya's elections is one of the most expensive in Africa. Does that equate to sort of the product or the results of what you see in an elections and the process and the systems? I mean, why are we the most expensive actually?
Yeah, the reason why we are the most we have the most expensive election is because of the trust issues that Kenyans have with the Electoral Commission. We make the election expensive because we are investing in security features so that to make these elections foolproof. As you even saw in the last general election, we had a very expensive system to manage our elections. But at the end of the day, we saw that there could have been some breaches from the likes of Kamago. Now we ask ourselves, is this money that Kenyans are coughing up in top dollar? A lot of money is going into IBC, but at the end, they present a product that is not acceptable to Kenyans. So they, even in as much as we are giving them money, they should actually show us what are they using this money for. Even in this coming by-elections, we want to see them doing the elections. We should not hear cases of ballot stuffing or you hear sometimes that there are multiple result declaration forms, because the money that they are using into the exercise should actually guarantee the safety of that election.
Right.
Yes.
Simon, if we're going to spend billions of money into an election, and you know you're ranked amongst the most expensive elections that are done across the African continent, why are we not the most credible for that matter?
But you see, we are spending billions of money to buy buckets and papers. So, you know, it is not even worth actually, because you go to a voting station, you find the normal police officer that we always pay with our tax every now and then is the one that is put there as a security officer, managing the queues, and then we have the politicians, agents, and then we have a few agents from IEBC and observers, because there are always so many people and international observers. Then you want to tell me that, like Victor is saying, they're spending a lot of money in security, the Kenyan police, and the normal observers.
The systems,
and then
the Form 34 is
Security systems.
There's no problem. There is no system, because I've been an agent, and they always call you, Simon, now call us, send us the the election results. What are they doing? They use the normal tablets that my brother Walter is using here. So why is Walter not spending now? And then they bring buckets. The bucket, that a 50 shillings bucket, very transparent, they put it there, and then the normal paper. Now printing that paper from whichever country they are printing to Kenya and transporting that paper here, that is what is costing us a lot of money. And you know what? It is the conflict of interest of how the procurement process of who wins the tender. And that is what you saw. Actually, Walter, to bring you up to date, Kenyan voting process was so peaceful. Everyone was dancing. I was at the Bomas of Kenya. I was dancing, waiting for Raila Odinga to be declared for the president of the Republic of Kenya, until the chairperson of Iebc came out with his own tallying, with the other Iebc commissioners running helter-skelter in Serena, saying that they're also going to declare their own. That is when we were provoked to start at least all the things that you saw.
Cynthia,
so we were very peaceful.
Thanks for making Simon and I sit together. We are aggrieved parties from 2022.
No.
We haven't even recovered.
But you see, the president, the difference is, the difference between me and Victor, the DNA party is just a political party. You know, Raila Odinga is presidency. You can be the president, but there is a presidency. You cannot serve without the presidency. And that's why every president needs Raila Odinga as a presidency to serve.
I hope I will need Raila. I hope I'll need Raila in 2027.
If you are elected today, yes, the president, you cannot serve without the presidency.
Walter, I mean, our
the billions you're talking about.
Right.
And I think let me try and put words to Simon's high stake emotions.
Yeah.
Simon, it's okay. It's okay. 2022 came, and it's rested, and we must rest it. The question we must ask, anyway, it's like the elections in Kenya is a business venture. It's not even a democracy. It's not a democratic process. It's a business. It's a venture, and it's a high risk venture, because the way it looks, the outcomes of elections, we are always very unhappy, and I don't see. I've looked back, and I'm looking at even the late Kivuitu, who declared President Kibaki in 2007. It was a night affair. Nobody was happy. Yeah. 2013, we are not happy. 2017, we are not happy. 2022, we are even not. We are even sad. Now we are already preparing to be sad in 2027. What are we paying for? That should be the question. When you give us a budget in billions, please tell us what we are paying for, because at the end of the day, it's our money. And if that is what we are paying for, then give us some sort of guarantee that whatever we are paying for is what we will get. We are only asking for a fair, credible, and very verifiable elections. That's all we are asking for. So let us give them an opportunity, the commissioners who are in place, and play what we call our active role as citizens. I want to encourage Simon and Victor that we are not discussing whether the right of the people should be upheld is constitutional. It's not a discussion.
Yeah,
okay, we're not begging, we're not asking. Yeah. All we are saying is let us be alive to the schemes and the acrobatic moves that people make that we must subvert, as those of us who want a better tomorrow, a better Kenya. So that's why I keep saying that I don't want to convince Simon to join DNA. I want the philosophy, the aspirations, and what DNA stands for to attract him to join us, not because I'm actively trying to recruit him. And those are some of the dangers that we've run into, waiting for politicians to actively recruit us, tell us about bottom up and everything else, manifestos that they don't honor at the end of the day. It was a scheme, it's like a marketing scheme for the period, and at the end of the day, we don't deliver what we promised people to deliver. I want to believe that we have a civic duty, even as we have this discussion, to look forward and look at what we have tomorrow for a better Kenya.
Right. Now, gentlemen, as we wrap this conversation up, because we're out of time, I'd love to touch a bit about...
Don't to add us 1 hour. I'm just joking. Simon, I have a lot to
you
say.
know, behind the scenes, okay. Let's talk about the delimitation of boundaries, because that was one of the key, activity that the IEBC was set to conduct last year, March 2024. But we all know we didn't have a commission in place for about 2.5 years. And we seem to be way past that particular deadline. Now, I know the legalities of it on whether or not, this should be done in 2026 or post 2027, but how much does it affect, the numbers come 2027? Because we're expecting to register about 29 million voters, but you're also having those constituencies where some of those residents expected that, they'll have their own constituency and the new constituencies that will come up. And so, we're way past that particular deadline. So for the foreseeable future, are we to do this before 2027, putting in mind the sort of in-tray the IEBC has in place?
Well, delimitation of borders is a political hot potato that the commissioners and the politicians are always kicking the can down the road. It's like they fear doing it. But it's at the center of our democracy, because it is these political units, the constituencies and wards, that actually bring representation to the people. It's through the constituencies and the wards that people will actually get their representation to the national government and the county government. So these are areas which are split according to population sizes. So you will find some places like maybe Ruiru constituency or Kasarani constituency, they exceed the required number to be represented by one person, while there are others which their populations have dwindled, and so they are supposed to be scrapped off. So the IEBC should actually do this before the coming election, so as to bring a clear picture on representation, because these people who are in constituencies which exceed the number, they should be split so that they can be effectively be represented in parliament. So pushing the process to the other electoral cycle, it will be disenfranchising these people, because services such as bursaries, they follow representation. So if the people are not well represented, they'll be missing some of these services which they are supposed to be getting. So the IEBC should fast track. I know they have a lot of work to do, but also that is very important, and they should make it a priority. Right.
Simon, they're working on such a crunched timeline, because one would say their focus right now is on the voter registration that is to start, and the by-elections in a minute will be in 2026. Do you see a space for this boundaries delimitation?
Yeah, I think there is no time for boundary review. Boundary review is a very chaotic process, because it is moving people. Like, you are now required to move from this constituency to a new constituency that you don't know. So I think right now we are looking at the political atmosphere in the country. Boundary review is another chaotic process that does not requires a lot of time. Probably they can do it in the next after the next election, general election. But right now it is not important, according to me, because there are people who are already not represented in parliament. The by-election process, after by-election, then if then there is something they need to do, then they really need to work on it, even reducing. Why are we increasing? Other areas like Mandera and other areas, you have an MP is elected with 11,000 people to parliament. And why should they not reduce instead of increase? Because reducing doesn't require a lot of time than increasing. So I think for now, it is not a priority for the IEBC. It is not a priority. And there's something I wanted to tell Walter. Walter was talking about IEBC to convince young people, and it is our right to. It is also the right of the so-called the united opposition that seems to be clueless right now. Also to come up with policies that can convince more people to come out and vote against the government that they're accusing right now. Because we cannot have an opposition and political parties that sings one term and calls and name calls and calling people names and all these sort of things. Like since Walter started talking here about the DNA party, nobody even knows what the DNA party stands for. He's only crying about their presidential candidate being nullified from the process. I think it is also upon Kenyans. So to me, the priority is about by-election and the next election process.
Right, Walter.
Yeah.
And I think we'll have an opportunity to have a conversation with Simon. It was not a platform for DNA to speak about our plans and our policies. We're having a national conversation on Iebc, and so I'm restraining myself. Otherwise, I would be doing us a lot of injustice. I wouldn't have an opinion over a constitutional requirement. Article 89 of the Constitution speaks very clearly on the limitation of the electoral boundaries. And it also says that the review should be between 8 and 12 years. At the same time, it talks about the new boundaries must take effect at least 12 months before a general election. And I think we still have a bit of time for that to happen based on the constitutional provisions for that. What my opinion would be, what is our priority? Yeah. What will be of high priority, but we also can't not effect a constitutional process because we want to be sly about time. Yeah. We have time, we have provisions as it is on the Constitution for us to ensure that the limitation happens.
Right. Yeah. Now, gentlemen, I'd love to give you an opportunity in 30 seconds to wrap it up as we close the show. Sankara, I'll begin with you.
Okay, thank you very much. My opinion is that Kenyans should actually give this Iebc a chance, and also the Iebc should not take this chance for granted. They should know that they've been given a national mandate to help us choose our leaders, and the future of Kenya is in their hands. When they do it in the right way, Kenyans will be happy. And if they fumble it, maybe we could lose our country. Thank you.
All right. Simon.
Yeah, mine is to ask and urge the young people to come out in numbers and register as voters in the next Iebc voter registration process. And mine also is to tell the Iebc the only opportunity you have is to prove yourself now during these by-elections. Because if you mess with this one, we are not going to wait for another mess in the next general election as a young people. Thank you.
All right, Walter.
Thank you very much. I want to take this opportunity to invite Simon to DNA Party to get to know more what we stand for. But as DNA, will continue to support constitutional processes that ensure that every young Kenyan or every Kenyan exercises their democratic right to participate in an election, starting with the by-elections, which as DNA we are actually fielding candidates across the country on those ones. And as the national chairman, I just want to welcome the young people particularly, that they can never continue to talk about them being partyless, because parties are vehicles that are used to exercise democracy, and therefore we want them not to continue saying they are leaderless, because they are leaders themselves. And so for us, it's to provide a framework for them to come and thrive. The only thing I'd want them to keep is the fearlessness and to be bold enough. Turn out, as Iebc has started the exercise, please register as voters with an anticipation to vote in the by-elections, in any other opportunity that arises. That's what I would say.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time this morning. On my immediate right is Victor Sankara, who's a political commentator. Next to him is Simon Awene, who's an ODM youth leader, as well as Walter Mongare, the chairman of the Democratic National Alliance Party, DNA Party. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time this morning. I really appreciate it. And so quite busy month ahead, or the next 3 months actually, for the Iebc to roll out the mass registration that is on September 29th, as well as the by-elections which are to come in November. The candidates who will be going for these particular seats are expected to start campaigning in October. So do prepare yourself that if you're in a constituency that has no representation, you will be getting quite a lot of visits as well from political figures within the next few months. So that has been the conversation this morning on the road ahead for the Independent Election and Boundaries Commission, a team that came into office on July 11th, 2025. But most importantly, it's not just about that particular team, but also on some of their roles ahead and what they're expected to do. What are your expectations as the Kenyan people first? We wrap it up at that point this morning. Thank you for watching. This is Leadership. My name is Cynthia Nanjala. Have yourself a wonderful morning.